So, in the few remaining minutes, what advice would you give to, first of all, one question that we always get asked is, do I need to get an MBA? I don't care whether it's at Kelly or Hopkins or wherever. So, if you are a healthcare professional or a scientist or an engineer, what I call white coat potential entrepreneurs, do you have to get an MBA?
No, you certainly don't. I tend to think of it as batting average. Could any of us get up in front of a good major league pitcher and get a hit? Probably, right? You don't need to have decades or years of training and athletic conditioning to get a hit, maybe even a double or a triple. But your batting average is not going to be very good. And are there successful entrepreneurs that dropped out of college and made it big? Absolutely. Excuse me. And you can find examples of such folks. But I think in terms of kind of batting percent, you're going to be a lot more likely to ask the right questions, to navigate systematically and in the right way with confidence if you have some kind of training. That doesn't necessarily have to be a full-on MBA. There are lots of alternatives, certificate programs, and others. The other thing I'd say is for the physician audience, the MBA can help you be a more successful entrepreneur. It can also be a way to better manage your team, your office, the workflow within that, be a better administrator if you have those aspirations. But then importantly, the last category of folks that at least come into our business of medicine program are people that feel like they're being pushed around by kind of the pencil pushers, the people who are degreed but not clinicians, don't have clinical experience, and are in their minds at least managing by the numbers and don't really understand the nature of the physician-patient relationship, for example. And if you want to be able to have a seat at the table, to have the language to push back in those circumstances, then getting the degree does help. It helps you either have the seat at the table or at least be able to articulate with a better arsenal of tools how to protect the things you feel are important and sacrosanct about the physician environment that you've grown up in.
Yeah, and pre-COVID, business schools were hurting. And in fact, several of them closed because the unemployment rate was so low that people didn't feel they needed to go to business school. Now, a lot of white coats are getting the pink slips. And I've been recommending for quite some time that they develop side gigs just as plan B. You never knew what was going to happen. And sure enough, it happened. So it remains to be seen. I guess what do you think the appetite for MBAs will be like, given the cost, the time, as you alluded to, the fact that it's virtual, it kind of compromises the high-touch environment. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, again, complex set of variables there. I think because unemployment had been so low and people were getting promotions, we had, even at the undergraduate level, people completing a summer internship and getting a job offer to not complete undergrad and come on and without finishing their degree in a full-time capacity. You're looking at spending another year of investment in tuition, et cetera, versus I can go make $60,000, $70,000 a year tomorrow based on my summer internship. The opportunity cost was pretty high to either go back and get education or continue getting education. So I think that's one component that's going to factor in. I think also there will be an awareness of the vulnerability for all of us. This isn't just kind of blue collar workers or food service. It's not just that segment of the population that's being affected. This goes all the way up the ladder, as you said, to clinicians, people who haven't been able to do elective procedures in the last month or two. So this is a pretty widespread kind of challenge. And I think people are recognizing that one way to combat that challenge, to be more marketable, but also to better recognize and take advantage of opportunity, is to get more training. So hopefully that's something that will encourage people to return. But I do think education more broadly is going to face a real challenge. While a lot of people have adapted nicely to the online kind of environment, there's a flip side to that where students that has had a positive experience might start to opt out of going to college, the college experience, and say, I could pay a lot less, and aren't necessarily that discriminating about quality differences between some of the online education that's being offered versus some of the more credible and rigorous. And hopefully the market will adjust and recognize rigorous and credible online education versus Joe's education shop.